Please welcome to the stage, Ulrika Modéer.
Thank you, and welcome to all of you watching in the audience here, but also those of you who may be online, even though the sunshine is out there. I want to start, of course, thanking our fellow event partners, Katie Calvin from the UN Foundation, Jessica Cohen from Mashable, and Esha Curran from the 92nd Street Y for hosting us here today. As you might have heard, this is the 10th anniversary of the Social Good Summit, and United Nations Development Program, where I work, the biggest development offer of the world, has been here from the beginning, both in New York, but also around the world, making use of our colleagues working for sustainable development all across the globe. And we have activated a global network to hold these summits, from Brambau easy lunches to enormous conferences, much perhaps like this one, but also in very different ways. 4 years ago, we announced the Sustainable Development Goals right here at the Social Good Summit. In 2015, we know that the world leaders came together to make ambitious promises to the coming generations, both with regard to sustainable development and climate change. And now we are moving towards 2020, and a decade that must be a decade of action. The message is clear. We need to go so much faster, and we need to reach so much farther if the world is to really address poverty, inequality that we see increasing in the world of today, and then of course climate change as one of the major threats for us, for the people, and for the planet. As you all know, tomorrow the United Nations will host the first of its 5 big summits during the General Assembly, and that is the Secretary General's call for climate action now. And as we also know, the world is watching and demanding action. This is not for the coming generations, this is for us. From young and old, global south and global north, from rural to urban, everyone is raising their voices, now also on the street, calling for action to tackle what is already a crisis. Today alone, on this stage, we have heard from policymakers, we have heard from scientists, we've heard from community members and from indigenous stewards. And while we all acknowledge the challenges, I'm hearing enthusiastic and thoughtful solutions, but I'm also hearing frustration. Someone who has used this platform to confront us about the effect of climate change is my very special guest here today, and I'm so happy to have him. Olafur Eliasson, who you soon will get to know, is a prolific artist who dominates headlines with his thought-provoking installations. Like, and let's see now if we can see part of it, the Weather Project, which is an indoor sun shrouded in midst of Tate's Modern Turbine Hall in 2003. We also have the New York City waterfalls commissioned by Public Art Fund and installed along Manhattan and Brooklyn shorelines in 2008. And you might have seen this as well. We have the Ice Watch, where he brought chunks of glacial ice from Greenland to London, to Paris, and to Copenhagen, so that we could all touch with our own hands this ancient ice that is melting in front of our very eyes. Throughout Olafur's career, he has accomplished to become a globally influential artist, and he has shown his very personal and strong commitment towards fighting climate change and increasing access to renewable energy. Olafur, and we're very happy, has been part of the United Nations program UNDP's family for several years now, and he has been a special advocate for the global goals on climate change. His commitment to protect people and planet aligns with our goal and our mission. And as a climate champion, Olafur shines a light on the global goals and the importance of climate action. His voice is an important one in the global discussion about climate change, and this is also why I am so happy that today have the possibility to welcome him on the stage to all of you as UNDP's new Goodwill Ambassador. So please extend your hands in an applaud for Olafur Eliasson, UNDP's new Goodwill Ambassador.
Thank you. Should I go over here? Thank you. Thanks. Thanks, Ulrika. Thank you, everyone. I have a mic, I can see. Thank you so much. Thank you for applause, the applause in between. That was very nice. I am very excited to be here. First, thank you to all the organizers, the event team here, all the people working at the front, where it's quite stressing, and for having me on such an exciting occasion for me at least. I work as an artist, and I work within what is called the cultural sector, and I obviously am very excited about being, should I say, a little out of my comfort zone with you, in the sense that I do believe that art is actually capable of translating or articulating or giving language to things that we otherwise have a hard time experiencing. So I think there's a difference between looking at a data sheet. Very importantly, we have the IPCC board's report with all the data and so on and so forth. So the ice watch that you saw before, for me essentially was very much about, well, what are the politicians and the scientists and so on, what are they actually talking about? And it was interesting, everyone obviously reads in the paper, how do you take something that we know and how do you make it explicit physically? How do you experience what on earth is this whole abstract matter about the climate crisis and so on? So interestingly, I saw people walking over, touching the ice, and everyone could see it's ice, right? So it's like, oh, this is ice. And then when you touch it, they go like, oh, it's really cold. And do you see, this is, so the difference between knowledge, and obviously they also knew it was cold, but physical first-hand experiences is just something else. And it's not just art, it's obviously also a lot of other things, but culture as such can create this situation where it translates what we know into how it feels. So it's about the combination of data, the combination of things that we learn by reading about it, and what we do with our bodies. And if we want to instigate change, or if we want to change behavior, or if we want people to be motivated or at least feel self-confident about the difference between thinking about something and actually doing something is smaller than you think, I think it's interesting as an artist to offer this opportunity to see, well, the distance between thinking and doing is just to take it from your brain down into your body. I'm not going to go on along this road longer here, but as you can see, I'm really convinced that the cultural sector is actually able to contribute in this way, and therefore I also got involved with founding what is called the UN Live, which has not been started yet, but the UN Live, and you can look it up on the homepage, is an opportunity to find out how do we tell and give narration to the stories that the UN are in fact producing every day from the perspective of our imaginary future. As we all know, we have a, should I say, relatively successful past. A few things has not been so successful. It turns out the fossil fuels is in fact a little more counterproductive than we thought, and so on and so forth. But all in all, we are still progressing, right? So how do we maintain an imaginary future which is optimistic relatively or hopeful in order to make people go from where they are today into tomorrow? People are not going to go into tomorrow if yesterday was better. But how do we create a language, a narrative, a story which says, okay, we are going to move on. We are going to be progressive. We're not going to be conservative. We're going to go ahead and create and make a new tomorrow which is better than the one we had yesterday. I think this is one of the key elements of the UN Live, and it's also something that I strongly believe in. Obviously, I worked, as we just heard, I've worked a lot with various ideas of the UN. I've been collaborating on things. I've been very involved with the sustainable goals, and I'm interested in how do we actually create a language where we work on all of them at the same time, even though they sometimes seems to be so counterproductive. But in particular, I'm engaged in number 7 and number 13. And at this point, it's funny. Do you know what 7 and 13 is? So you sort that out yourself, right? Find out. No, it's access. Obviously it's access to energy, and I will say something about that in a second. And it's the climate, as I've just been talking about. See now, so that means that having this conversation with UNDP, we talked about, so what is the mission? And my mission essentially is to make use of what I have learned and what I was fortunate to get involved with through art, and see if I could contribute with something to the UNDP, the important work that UNDP is also increasingly doing across the various UN offices. So it's actually quite exciting to see whether culture, because in my view, people, they identify with culture in ways that UN or UNDP could benefit from. Can culture contribute with something to the UNDP so that people say, UN, that's me, instead of saying, oh, UN, over there, who are they, what are they talking about? So I'm very interested in, do people feel that they are actually the people that is being discussed, right? And I think that's an interesting challenge, because once we feel that we own the UN and they work on behalf and not on expense of us, I think we have actually gone somewhere. See, now actually I'm here to oh, thank you. You're very generous. So, no, because everybody's just like bashing the UN all the time, right? So somebody actually liking the UN is wonderful. See, now I actually no, so actually I have a small experiment with you that I've been doing here and there and occasionally. If I'm not wrong, and if somebody didn't take it, there's a little box under your seat. Why don't you start with opening up that little box? And if you don't have one, there's a few people walking around with sort of handing them out as well. This is. So why don't you open up the box, take the so-called little solar lantern inside of it out, and while you familiarize yourself with it, oh, I love the chaos now. Okay, are you ready? Let me just tell you. There's a small push button on the front, right? Why don't you look for that? See light? Yeah, it's already not bad. And before you get too excited, I unfortunately have to tell you, you are not going to be able to take the lamp with you. You can find another place to support Little Sun by getting one. They're going to go to charity. If you really need a small solar lantern, we should talk, but otherwise, but somebody needs them, and so don't take them because they're going to go to someone else who's actually going to need them. But this is a small solar lantern called Little Sun that I have designed, and I founded a not-for-profit project together with an engineer. Let that rest there because we need to get working here. As you can see, there's a solar panel on it. The ones we have here today, actually they were charged on the roof of my studio in Berlin. So we have about 4 or 5 hours of sunlight from Berlin in your hand now. And this notion that you can hold a little bit of sunlight in your hand. Somebody from my studio, somebody harvested the sunlight, and now it's here with you, right? So I thought, why don't we make a little work of art together? Now I have to come up with something. The idea is, of course, when you have a little bit of solar light like this in your hand, you also have a little power station. So this is essentially a small lantern that primarily works in areas with no access to energy, meaning that the 1 billion people in the world who do not have access to energy, they can use this instead of buying petroleum and kerosene and so on and so forth. And this means that this is a replacement or a competition with the fossil fuel industry, you can say. And in about 2 weeks, or in 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, see how it goes, we are crossing the line of 1 million Little Sun being delivered in sub-Saharan Africa through. through various partners, among others, great collaborations with the UN. So let's get started here, because this is already red. Can you turn the light down? So what we're going to do a little solar sunrise. I'm going to film it. It's going to be, you're going to be the artist, and I'm going to be the audience, right? Decentralization. So we start with, can somebody right there in the middle take the lead and be the first person? Yeah, and can you face me with the lamp? Okay. I just need one in the middle. So go down. Yeah, no, that was the first one. Yeah, stay up. Okay, what we're going to do is say we start at night, everything is turned on, and when I say we start, the first person comes, and we're filming it from here, and the people who are watching us online are going to be enjoying this a lot more than you, because they are seeing it from up here. So we are actually doing it from them. So do you see how the people in this important room are now for once doing something for everyone who's not here? Let's just say, let's turn all the lights off. Okay? And now you're just going to have to follow me, right? And then I guess when we play it later again on the sort of on the social media and so, we'll put in a little music and so on. It's going to be very sexy afterwards. But just take it easy. Just take it easy. So this means it's dark. Oh yeah. Can you turn it off? It's dark. It's night, right? The sun is rising, and this means we're going to start with the one person in the middle. Yeah? Okay, easy. One more to few more, just like, okay, don't wait. The rest of you hold on. Now a little more. Come on, every second person roughly, slowly. Oh yeah, and come on, and now everyone comes. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, just hold it. Okay. And now the sun goes, now you do the same as me, up to the high. And the sun is here. Can you shake it? Yeah. And then we go down here to this side over here. Okay. And then we go over again. All the way down. And then now we're going to do a fast one. Come. Yeah. And one again. And then we go up. Okay. And now you're going to make it flip the other way. 1, 2, flip. Ooh. Oh. And flip again. Oh, amazing. You should see it. And flip again. This flipping thing is like a little. Let's do one more flip here. Let's do the face. One side. Other side. Wow. And we do one last sunrise over here. And we slowly dance. And now we end with the prairie grass. We are in America. Prairie, indigenous species, plants. Oh, it's great. Yeah, animals, all the non-human persons. And we now are going to go to just to our face like this. Hold it. Hold it. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this. And put it in the box so we can take it again. Thank you.